Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. Now, the 2024 stock market has produced an indicator that could prove positive for the rest of the year. Since 1957, the stock market has been up 10% in the first 100 days of the year 18 times. So when that happens, it continues to climb and averages about 24% by the end of the year. So there are so many different factors that we deal with today than in the past, right? Lots has changed and a lot of things in the air that can kind of make or break this indication here. So can we rely on historic trends to be accurate?
Well, I mean, you hear the old saying, history has a tendency to repeat itself. I mean, it's a good, strong indicator. I mean, the S&P has returned more than 10%. The first 100 days only, 18 times since its inception in 1957. So it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it tends to remain strong, which is great. I mean, just because I offer products with safety and guarantees and lifetime income doesn't mean that I'm not a fan of the market. I mean, I've got money in 401ks like most of you out there, and I want that to do well too. I mean, my grandkids' 529 plan is in the market. So yes, of course I want to see that do well. But in addition to that, I'm also a fan of not putting your eggs, all in one basket, as you know. So the end of the year, who wins the election in November could have a impact on where it goes.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, but
I mean, things seem to be going okay right now, but you're exactly right. I mean, things can start swaying left or right very quickly. Things go up real slow. When things go down, it happens real fast. So how do we kind of put that, protection around our plan, but also give us that growth?
Again, what you got to do is just understand that you got to take the emotion out of retirement planning, and it's not easy to do because let's say you're in your late 50s or early 60s and you've got a nice pile that you've earned and saved. You tend to get a little emotional thinking, okay, I've got 4 years or 5 years to go. That's my game plan. And then an event that you can't control knocks 25% of your money down. I mean, you can't help sometimes but get emotional over that. So the way to deal with it is to, again, diversify in the sense of not having all your eggs in one basket. And I don't mean diversify within your 401k plan. I mean diversify outside and have a pile of money that is going to guarantee you and your spouse, if you're married, a paycheck for life like Social Security, because most people don't have a pension. And the bottom line, Jess, is you can look at this a million ways, but the ultimate objective is to replace your working income with non-working income. I mean, that's the definition of retirement. And so if you can do that and have greater peace of mind knowing that you've got a Social Security check and you've got a annuity check, and those two combined are going to keep you in the house that you're in and keep your standard of living where it's at, that is powerful. And what it also does is it allows you to be a smarter investor. Now, you're probably thinking, what's that got to do with it? Well, here's what it has to do with it. Most people, when the market drops, panic and they run. And that's probably the worst thing to do. So the smart people, right, the smart thing to do is that you understand how cycles work generally, okay, and you don't freak out when you've lost 25%, because the fact that you're already down, you are where you are, and you can't cure it sticking the money in your closet. So you ought to understand that if you've got another pile that's going to provide a income check, and then you got that up and down pile that's down at the moment, fine, leave it alone. Don't draw on it when it's down. Let it heal. And it might take 2 or 3 or 4 years, but if you have the other pieces in place, Jess, you have the time to do it right. And that's the problem, is that most people have all their money in their 401k or IRA. That becomes a huge problem if you retire at whatever, say 67, and that's the year that the market goes blah, and it pulls an '08 or a 22, and you need money. Now you're stuck. Now you have to make a choice. Well, do I stay at work, or do I draw down on an account that's already down and really run the huge risk of running out of money when I'm in my late 70s or 80s? And at that point, going back to work might not be an option. So doing planning right in pieces, right, and having different buckets actually can make you a more successful investor in the long run. It's not just about the return on paper, because that can be very, very deceptive. If I say to you, hey, you're up 10% one year and down 10% the next year, you're thinking to yourself, well, at least I'm even. The fact is, you're not. You're down. Okay, and I won't have a chance to get into the math today, but call me and I'll tell you why you're down still, okay? So numbers can be deceiving, but income checks, okay, they are what they are. And if we're promising you, 7.5%, 8.5% payout, depending on what your age is when you take it, and that's in writing, that's not going to change. And that is a beautiful thing when you're trying to plan for your retirement. So that's the right way to do planning process, is to split it up and to look at buckets and think of your money as a paycheck replacement. So talk with one of us and set up a meeting. We could do it over the phone. We could do it in person. A lot of people love to come to the office in Hyannis and see the studio and meet the staff, and we'd love to have that. But if you're still working and you work at 5, 6 o'clock at night, we could do a phone call. That's not a problem. And you can also visit the website, fairwayfinancial.net. Just go on there, click. You can make an appointment or, ask a question like Jess said earlier, and we'd be happy to help you.
So let's say you've set your retirement date. But is it realistic? A recent survey found that 40% of us end up retiring before that planned date. Here's Morningstar's Christine Benz and what she recommends when it comes to coming up with a plan B.
People tend to overestimate how long they'll be able to work. In general, we see a little bit of a disconnect where you've got people retiring in the 60 to 65 year range who maybe had planned to stick it out even past age 70. So you should build in a contingency plan. Maybe your best guess is that you'll retire at age 68 or 70 or whenever it may be, but build in some kind of buffer. What would you do if you needed to or wanted to retire a bit earlier?
All right, Steve. So let's talk about this. When you create a retirement plan, do you also build in that what if scenario, for different retirement dates?
Oh my God, all the time. And one of the more interesting things are that people, they just think retirement is a money decision. And it's not. It's a lifestyle decision. And you got to be prepared not only financially, but mentally to deal with, hey, you're not going to do your daily routine anymore. You're going to be waking up at 6:30 going, what am I doing? Where am I going today? And you really need to have a plan for that, because some people just are really caught off guard and they end up going back to work. And by the way, that's not a bad thing, but you just need to be aware of these alternatives. I mean, I can help you with the financial stuff all day, but the other stuff, it's got to be on you. You got to have a game plan for that. And, some of my clients have retired and stayed retired, and others have taken part-time jobs that they're happy with. And, unfortunately, there are some folks out there who have had all their eggs in one basket. The basket's gone bad for a year or two, and they've been forced to, work, somewhere they weren't, expecting to for another year or two. And again, a lot of that, it's just because they failed to plan correctly. It's not that they didn't plan. It's just that they weren't aware of other opportunities, Jess, that could have helped solidify their original plan. So it's tough. There's a lot of pieces to it. It's just not as easy as here's the numbers and it looks like it's going to work, right? I mean, look at inflation the last year or so. I don't think anybody predicted it was going to go from 0 to 8 or 10% within a year. My plan for retirement is to not retire anytime soon. I don't feel like I'm working.
I was just going to say, it's that old adage, right? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So I think that's why you feel that way.
And I'm okay with it, and it's fun to come in. And my work isn't physically demanding. I mean, mentally, obviously, there's a lot on me to keep coming up with these plans and following all the changes that are out there. I mean, fortunately, I have a great team that helps me with that. But, that's really it. And so I enjoy it, and I love being here, and I like doing stuff with our customers. It's fun. I mean, there's a segment we're going to do right after this, hopefully, about Major League Baseball. And you know that I'm very involved with the Cape League.
Absolutely.
And I thought that would be an interesting piece to toss in here now that the playoffs are coming up soon.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
With the Cape League. But
yeah,
I can help people. So, like, if you're concerned about, hey, am I on the mark? Am I realistic? Am I going to run out of money? I mean, I hear this all the time. You're not alone. Give me a call at 508-552-3230, and we'll just do a quick analysis and see where you're at. Is your plan realistic? Is it going to provide you the income that you need in good times, which is easy to do, and in bad times,
right,
which requires thought and planning?
Playing for 10 years in Major League Baseball is a rarity. Only 7% of players have surpassed that milestone. And the latest is Kevin Pillar, who's played for 9 clubs in the past decade, including his current team, the Angels.
I know it's come out that it said that it's likely to retire. I kind of stand by that. I would never rule out continuing to play, but I just knew going into this season there was things statistically that I wanted to accomplish. Obviously, the 10 years being a big part of that. I just wanted to go in and enjoy this year. You never really know what's going to happen in this game.
That's true. I mean, in 10 years, that really is a long time in the major leagues. And, now he's fully vested and gets a pension. So he's set up nice for that. So good for him. For the rest of us, pensions are also very rare. So how can we set up our own personal pension that gives us guaranteed income?
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, hey, we can be like the big leaguers, right, and have our own personal pension. Of course, we've got to save that pile of money to do it. As you know, Jess, my wife and I host players for the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Absolutely.
And, we've hosted for the Bourne Braves because we live in South Plymouth, and they're pretty much the closest park. And we've been very fortunate to have a bunch of kids get drafted, and a few of them are playing in the majors. People look at the money these guys make, but what they don't realize is the odds, right? It's so difficult and hard, not only to get there, but to stay there, because there's so many people behind these kids that want their job. It's so exciting to see them fulfill their dreams, and we're excited to be a small part of it. So every year we get to do that, and the Bourne Braves are the defending champs of the Cape League, 2-time defending champs. So we're very excited to have that happen too. So
yeah, very cool.
Here's how you do it. Put aside your own personal pension plan, if you will, and it's called a lifetime income annuity. And like we've been talking about, these things will pay a guaranteed check for life when you want it to turn on. So you literally can buy it now. You could defer it. And some of these things today are rolling up, meaning you're getting interest on the money while it's deferred of 8.5%, 12%. I've seen companies at 12% every year, Jess. And by the way, this is a contract. So it's not like the insurance company can change their mind and take that money away. I mean, this is it. Like when you buy these things, they're in cement and they're guarantees. This is not the stock market. Okay, this is, hey, here's what we're going to do for you. This is when we're going to do it. And if you want to defer it longer, we can do that too. So you're not locked into a set date in the future, which is beautiful because it can help you with your planning process. You could say, well, I think I'm going to turn it on at 67 and then get to 67 and say, nah, maybe I'm going to wait till 70, right? Kind of like Social Security, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's really cool. You can literally build your own pension, and you can do it using monies from your IRA, from your bank, from your 401k. And by the way, if you're still working and you're over 59 and a half, most people don't know this, Jess, but you can take some of the money from your 401k while you're actively working and roll it over with no taxes into these type of plans. So you can build an income stream for yourself in the future with a piece and then let the other piece kind of ride and do its thing in the market. That's added peace of mind for someone who's trying to plan. And that's called an in-service distribution. And you're allowed to do it. And we've done lots of them. I mean, this year we've probably done over, conservatively 50, 75. I mean, it's been that many. So think about it. and at least get the information on it. Find out what those numbers can look like, because it's going to surprise you. And I know you'll hear your 401k folks say, oh, no, you got to leave it here. You got so much potential. You can make so much money. And that is true. That is not false statement.
But there's other opportunities out there.
Yes. And you could make potentially more money, but you can also have a really bad year or two and set you back, especially if it's the year you want to retire. It can really do you harm. So do yourself a favor, and your spouse if you're married, and give us a call at 508-552-3230 and just say, hey, Steve, I listened to your show for years, first-time listener. I'd love to find out more about these things. How do they work? And I'll be happy to help you. I'm independent purposely. I represent over 60 companies just in Massachusetts, okay? So we have all the best companies out there, the A minus, A plus, all the ratings, all the history behind them. We can get you all the numbers, because trust me, you try to do this online, you're going to go down a rabbit hole you're going to regret, because it can be very, very confusing. Let us take that frustration out of your life. Let us do the homework and get you the numbers. Then you can figure it out if it's the right thing to do for yourself and your family.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.